Yo.
Friends, classmates, fellow Mississippians, we as young adults find ourselves at this moment in our lives about to exit the security that has been provided to us by our parents, teachers, mentors, and friends. As Dwight D. Eisenhower said many years ago, we are about to embark on the Great Crusade. No, we will not be storming the beaches of Normandy, but rather entering adulthood. As adults, we must look at things from the adult point of view, rather than the point of view given to us by Disney, Cartoon Network, or PBS Kids. One of the most argued rights included in the U.S. Constitution is the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And that brings me to the subject I want to talk about today. Why we should protect the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to protect our individual freedoms. I know you guys thought I was going to get up here and discuss the pros of owning cool guns like a AK-47 or an Armalite M16, but my real conversation is about living free. Free from tyrannical government, free to come and go, free to shop, commute, free to watch TV, and free to enjoy a barbecue in your home without the fear and worry of an invasion or attack from a hostile party. To completely understand why the Second Amendment is paramount to the other rights the U.S. Constitution vows to protect, we must go further back than the idea of a nation like the United States. John Locke's Second Treatise of Government was published in 1690. It was the basis and inspiration for the Declaration of Independence. Locke stated in his treatise in Chapter 11, Section 137, whereas supposing they have given of themselves the absolute arbitrary power and will of the legislator, they have disarmed themselves and armed him to make a prey of them when he pleases. The words defend, defending, and defender are used 15 times in Locke's treatise, and numerous examples of why force might have to be used against those who threaten to take away a person's life or liberty are given. The Declaration of Independence was strongly based on the writings of Locke as detailed in Robert Curry's article, Jefferson, Locke, and the Declaration of Independence. It listed the grievances that people living in the colonies of America had with the British Crown. It detailed how many people had petitioned the king to make right the wrongs he had done to those living in the colonies, but ended with their declaration and intention to sever their ties with the crown, ultimately leading the colonies taking up arms and fighting against the crown's tyranny. Had this declaration not been backed by the use of force, we might have been a side note in British history rather than the birth of a new nation and government. After winning the Revolutionary War, the Founding Fathers devised the longest standing contract between man and government that has ever existed, the U.S. Constitution. The preamble laid out a plan of how people should be governed, but the following 7 articles detailed how the new government would operate. This went into effect on March 4th, 1789, but didn't end there. Jefferson and Madison argued that while the Constitution devised a plan to govern while also representing the rights of an Englishman, those God-given rights must also be put down in writing, so there'll be no mistake about their existence. So 2 years later, in 1791, the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution. And it is to my opinion that the Second Amendment preserves and protects all those rights. The Second Amendment to the Constitution reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And this lengthy introduction brings me to why I not only contend, but also the founders of our nation believe the right to bear arms is paramount to protecting all the other rights given to us by God. Locke stated in his treatise that someone who submits to the power of one man who commands 100,000 men is far worse condition than 100,000 free men who can hold their leaders accountable. There are many examples in American history, not only past history, but most recent history as well. One example in an NPR article detailing the 21-year standoff between Cliven Bundy and the Bureau of Land Management, which came to a head in 2014. Bundy, whether right or wrong, was ordered to remove his cattle from federal land, or the BLM was going to forcibly remove and take the cattle. A group of armed people that supported Bundy and backed his claim that his family had the right to use public land for grazing his cattle converged in Nevada in 2014 to support him in his fight with the BLM. Unlike Waco or Ruby Ridge, the federal government took notice of the armed citizens defending what they insisted was their constitutional right. No one was shot or killed, and ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court dismissed all charges against Bundy and validated his claim that the use of public land for grazing by his family was for over a century was not illegal. Had not the Second Amendment allowed protesters to bear arms against federal officers, the case might have never been heard, much less ruled in the favor of a U.S. citizen. Most recently, in the summer of 2022, we witnessed a time of civil unrest across the nation. It became apparent that the fallacy that the existence of modern police departments rendered the need for citizens to bear arms obsolete. This misguided opinion was proven wrong in the shadow of what was supposed to be peaceful protests, which turned into looting and riots in the George Floyd protest. While police departments retreated, it was left to private citizens to protect his or herself, their family, and property. Amid this civil unrest, COVID-19 was also raging across the nation. People found the need to feel secure in their homes during such uncertain times, and once again, the Second Amendment prevailed. Lastly, I would like to explain the serious danger of not having a Second Amendment protected citizens. On February 23rd, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine had some of the strictest gun laws in Europe when it comes to private ownership of firearms. Those few weapons that private citizens can own are little to no use against weapons carried by an invading army. On February 24, 2022, President Zelensky said, "We will give weapons to anyone who wants to defend the country." Had the people of Ukraine been armed to begin with, the initial invasion might have looked different than the one we are watching unfold today. All this reminds me of Luke 11:21 through 22. When a strong man keepeth his palace, his goods are in peace. But when a stronger man that shall come upon him, and taketh from him all his armor wherein he trusted, and divideth his spoils. Fellow students, I sincerely hope that I have been able to impress upon you the importance of defending the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. We should value this right just as much as all others in the Bill of Rights, and pray that we never have to exercise it as well. My greatest fear is the Second Amendment is taken away, the rest will follow soon after. And to close my speech, I would like to say 4 words: come and take it.